Thanks, Bruce. Great race, and it brings us to the Hawthorn Trophy, and cars are lining up already for the Hawthorn Trophy. A wonderful mixture of BRM, Maserati 250F, Connaught, A-Type, B-Type, C-Type. All the cars that raced in Grand Prix in the 50s. Cooper Bristols. On pole, Michael Steele in the C-Type Connaught.
Trying to see where that car is, because they've been pushing. Did they move Michael Steele out of the way just to try to push start? No, I can't see Michael
I can't
Steele.
see him there. The pale green BRM is the P25 BRM, the wonderful picture you'll remember probably of Hans Hermann at Abbott in the German Grand Prix.
This is an amended grid, isn't it? That's what it is.
That's right.
It was a late change.
In the middle, the DBR4, Aston Martin.
No, I haven't got this revised grid, but certainly it looks like Barry Baxter's on pole then with the BRM, which must mean that that Michael Steele, who was our pole man, has scratched, because Barry Baxter was second in qualifying to Michael Steele. Mark Valvekens with the Aston Martin was third quickest in the practice session yesterday, and Simon Diffie fourth in the Maserati. And yes, the missing car is that
Michael Steele C-Type. Yep.
I don't know what's happened to it, or whether it's going from the back, or what's going on.
Nick Fimbroug's done a fantastic job getting on the second row in the little Cooper Bristol.
Glad that most of the cars seem to be out. We lost one or two yesterday. Nigel Batchelor's Kieft was, I think, knocked about a little bit. But what a great sight this is. The front engine Grand Prix cars making their way around the circuit with this pale green BRM 25, for Wheaty on the side for Tom Wheatcroft.
Towards the back we've got number 56, the white Maserati 250F with the red stripes.
That's full Dieter Baumann.
It is, and I'm told that's the racing colours of Monarca. We, at the Revival, we got a bit confused with why it should have been in white colour, but we were very firmly told that it was the Monarca racing colours. Lotus 16, the minivan wall, which originally had a very strange gearbox, and then right at the back, the little Smith Formula 2 car of Marco Rollinger, little Climax engine and a gearbox right at the back, out of a Velocette noddy bike, the sort that the police used to ride, water cooled. Do you remember? No, you weren't, Marcus. You're too young. Some of the Cooper Bristols have got quite extreme roll bars.
As has the Aston Martin, which lines up second on the grid, which is the Belgian Mark Valvekens in number 2. So it's 5 and 2, and the Simon Diffie Maserati 24 Cameron Miller car, this one, moving on to the front row.
Number 26 in Mark Hales, the Nick Mason 250F. Don't know if you've read Nick Mason and Mark Hale's brilliant book describing his collection of cars and how they were acquired and what they are like to drive. Towards the back, number 11, the dark blue B-Type Connaught of the type with which Tony Brooks won the 1955 Syracuse Grand Prix.
Watch for young Will Nuttall, who's given a thumbs up to his pit crew. Number 1, he's driving his dad's Formula 2 Alta. That broke in quali yesterday. He didn't even get a lap in, but he's going to go from the back. He's a very quick driver. Don't be surprised to see him up in the top 6 by the end of this race.
In an Alta, wow.
Yeah. Away they go. And good start from Valvekens in the middle of the front row, but the pale green BRM of Baxter coming up the inside. Valvekens is second, Diffie is third. It looks like probably Hales will be fourth, but another BRM, number 7 I think that is. Is that John Pearson?
The Pearson BRM
fantastic start.
He started a long way back.
Yeah, he's up in about 6th place, and he's going past one of the Cooper Bristols now. That's Nick Finberg. And there is number 7 in the car that his brother Gary's won numerous races around here. This is the Belgian the Dutch Grand Prix winner, isn't it? Yes.
Well, Simon Diffie got into second place at the opening corner in the Maserati 250F, and now he's really pushing Barry Baxter's pale green BRM as they go round St Mary's for the first time, taking the outside line. Will that mean he's close enough to take the inside into Lavant? Perhaps not, but he's having a look. But Barry Baxter knew exactly where he was and took the optimum line, leaving Simon Diffie with that gold helmet in second place. And then Mark Valverquin's so quick off the start line, but got monstered before the first corner, back into third place in the Aston Martin DBR4. And then there's a huge gap.
Clear. Yeah.
We have waved yellow flags just out of my sight. Something has happened. There's one person coming to a halt, but I can't work out how the rest pulled over. Number 7, that's unfortunately John Pearson, who had problems in practice yesterday, off on the exit of St Mary's.
What a shame. He was up into the top 6 from a start position of 14th.
Simon Diffie with his unusual driving style, with the high left arm, elbow out of the cockpit. Seems to work though.
Baxter, Diffie, Valvekens, so that's BRM, Maserati and Aston Martin. In 4th place is 14, and that's Neve Wood.
Yeah, doing a great
young
job.
Young lady driving the Cooper Bristol brilliantly, car that she shared with her father, Eddie Maguire.
Mark Hales has dropped quite a long way back down.
I think this is what happened in that he was in that grouping just behind the first 3. That's why there's such a delay, and maybe he got caught up in the incident with John Pearson, or maybe John Pearson simply pulled off out of St Mary's, but the first 3 were separated from the rest. In fact, they're going round St Mary's, and the chaser, Neve Wood, is only just coming down the slope.
Diffie spun with the gold helmet.
Yes.
That Duracell bunny helmet, and Pearson saw him coming and has gone away again. Or what's happened there?
No, Pearson has just chosen that moment to rejoin. It's nothing to do with Diffie having spun, but Diffie has now stalled, and he's can he get it going again? Going down the hill by the momentum.
Pushing the rear wheel, just trying to make the car run down the hill. He's leaning out the cockpit, pushing the rear wheel.
So that should leave Barry Baxter with a tiny lead. He was less than half a second clear of Diffie at the start of that, and Diffie has got underway again, but he's down in about 15th, 16th, 17th place or so.
That was amazing. Was that a bump restart after stalling the engine?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Leaning out the side and pushing on the tyres, the old-fashioned way. Well, that's a very interesting development, because Barry Baxter out ahead by a long way from Mark Valvekens. Valvekens is in second place. Now, are we going to see Neve Wood in
third? Well, she should be in third place, but
no.
Or has she been passed by Boswell?
Could be Boswell next in the Ferrari. Where's Bos? There he is. Neve Wood, and 23 right behind her.
Barry Wood,
that's her father-in-law.
Barry Wood in the Ecos Cooper Bristol.
Okay, expect a recovery drive from Simon Diffie.
Pearson back in the pits. So Neve Wood is in 4th place. Her father-in-law Barry is in 5th place in 23. And David Wenman in the yellow Connaught, which broke yesterday in qualifying, is up into 6th place.
So that was John Pearson in the pits.
Yep. Wenman has come from 17th to 6th in that bright yellow Kirin National Belge car, the number 8 yellow Connaught.
How's Will Nuttall get? Oh, we've just seen, haven't we?
Will Nuttall's in 10th place.
So he's climbing up
number 1.
Here comes 2 Cooper Bristols. Barry Wood in the XA-Cos car, followed by the yellow Belgian A-type Connaught.
Barry Wood can't get past his daughter-in-law,
no,
which is quite interesting.
He's not going to upset her.
And yeah, it's great stuff.
There's a 250F with a rather bent front behind the A-type Connaught. That's Mark Hale. So he was caught up in that problem a lap or 3 ago.
Yes, a bent lip on the front of that car.
And he's
walloped fairly hard, hasn't it?
It has, and he's being monstered by the yellow.
Oh, and Will Nuttall out of the race. The outer has broken. That's not unusual.
That's traditional.
And the cluster you see on the screen, you have Alexander Boswell coming over the start-finish line in number 44 Ferrari in 3rd place. Not too long from now, in the back of that group of cars, we will see the 250F of Simon Diffie, I would presume. About another 3 or 4 laps. He's certainly got a long way to go. Valvican's not losing ground at all to Barry Baxter. Barry Baxter now through St Mary's. Valvican's out of the King.
Diffie, is that Diffie?
Neve Wood popped her hand up out of the cockpit. She's in a problem. What a shame.
She was doing so well.
Super drive. Now we've got the Ferrari versus Maserati tussle. The Maserati with a rather skewed nose, and Mark Hales comes through on the inside of the kink before St Mary's, and is moving onwards and upwards. That's going to put him into 3rd place.
Yeah, well, Hale's definitely making progress, as you say, gone past Boswell. Diffie catching that group at a huge rate of knots. He's now in 10th at the start of the lap, and I think he's picked off Nuttall. We saw Nuttall fall down the order, but certainly making good progress. Must be cursing his spin at St Mary's.
Yes, he must. Once he catches them, he'll take 3 or 4 in pretty quick succession, won't he?
Yes, he will.
Cooper Bristol, Connaught HWM, Ian Nuttall. Will's dad driving the HWM, Michael Harting's car.
And in car 18 is Joe Ricciardo, Dan Ricciardo's father, in his HWM, car number 18, down in 18th place. So Baxter and Valvicans have gone through. 5.2 was in the Hales' fastest lap of the race. A 1:33.8. Not anything like as quick as they went in practice. Boswell is now in. Bos is now 4th, and then Barry Wood and David Wenman next through.
Onto the grass.
Wenman onto the grass. He was trying to go around the outside of Barry Wood and found himself on the grass. And they've got with them Chris Phillips in 15 and Ian Nuttall.
And Simon Diffie coming back up the field after that half spin and stall.
Yeah, well, he's in the heart of that battle, and as Marcus said, it shouldn't take him long to get through it, but he's got to pick his moments. And in fact, he then had Wenman getting very close to his tail through St Mary's in the yellow Connaught, but he's managed to sort of dispatch one more car as they come down to Lavant. He'll pick off the others, I think, on the run down to Woodcliff.
Round the outside of Ian Nuttall in the HWM. He's got 3 ahead of him now onto the straight. Cooper Bristol, 2 Cooper Bristols, and up ahead of them is Alex Boswell. He wants and will get 3rd place back fairly easily, I suspect, because he's going to outpower the 2-litre Bristol-powered Coopers, which he does. He's back up into 4th place, is it now? 5th place.
5th, I think. So
still behind Boswell, so yes.
Waving his hands in the air, then sort of people can magic their way out of the way, which is a bit strange. There's a great line of cars coming through.
Now the Maserati takes the Ferrari over the finishing line, and that puts Diffie up into 5th place.
Yes,
so
up into 4th place now.
Up into 4th,
up towards Madrid.
He'll be chasing Mark Hales, but Hales is going quickly.
Yes, Hales is not the fastest lapper on the race last time around. That was Barry Baxter in the lead, but Baxter's having this sublime run at the front, not troubled by anybody.
Our local competitor number 3, Michael Milligan, Spike Milligan in 10th place in his Connaught. It's the A-type. There's Barry Baxter.
All serene in the pale green BRP BRM, if that makes sense. British Racing Partnership.
Well, Barry Baxter obviously inherited pole when Michael Steele had to scratch the Connaught number 12 that had been fastest in time practice, but he's had the run of this race pretty much since he got up to the front at the start. And first into Madrid, wasn't the best off the line, but since then he's been able to control it as he wishes. 12.8 seconds clear of Mark Valvicans. Early in the race, the Aston Martin driver would seem to be able to match him, but as the race has gone on, Barry Baxter's carried on lapping fast, whereas Paul Valvicans got a little bit caught out in traffic, just hasn't got the legs.
Yeah, first straight through, Mark Hales in 26. There's a long gap back to Simon Diffie in 4th place. Alexander Boswell is in 5th.
Yes, he is. Diffie's in front of the Ferrari. We saw that happen over the finishing line. There's Valbekens in the DBR4.
Valbekens, I think, has a few gear change problems. He's really having to blip the throttle quite a lot on the down change that he wasn't doing on the first 2 laps of the race. So that could be the reason he's losing ground. And certainly Mark Hales is catching him with that bent front on the number 26 Maserati 250F. He was 12 seconds behind on the start-finish line last time around, definitely coming right down now.
He's 4 seconds a lap quicker, isn't he? And I would think at this rate, with still 9 minutes to go, the chances are we're going to have Hales and Diffie in 2nd and 3rd place by the flag, if this is a problem which recurs in the Belgians' Aston Martin.
What you couldn't hear then, Marcus, was my sharp intake of breath while you were speaking, because David Wenman came within a cigarette paper of clipping the car ahead of him as they came down into St Mary's. How they missed, I do not know. So that would have been right behind Barry Wood. Very, very close indeed, but no trouble. No one went slid off, but he really had to back out of his move. Now let's see what the gap is between Valbekens in 2nd place, who lost another 3 and a bit seconds to the race leader Barry Baxter. How close has Mark Hales got? He was 12.8 seconds. Oh, he didn't gain as much as we thought. I think traffic must have got in his way. Yes, 11 seconds.
He had to lap Joe Ricardo at Woodcote Corner in the HWM.
Marcus and Bruce, a quick public service announcement. Keith Jenkins, can you please make yourself known to any information point or steward? We'll say that again when it's quieter, but that's Keith Jenkins, please. Well,
David Wenman's dramatic lap got a little more dramatic then, with a sort of a tank slapper spin, and that's dropping him away from that group, but he's straight back on the power, and his race continues to excite the spectators as well as himself.
So we're down to 7 3/4 minutes to go. They're lapping at just over 1.5 minutes, so we're going to get something like 5 laps, aren't they? This one and 4 more. That won't be enough, I suspect, to save Mark Valbekens from losing 2nd place. Diffie closing in on Hales, but he's still, what, 13 seconds behind Hales. So he's got a lot of work to do to catch Valbekens. Valbekens may just about have enough cushion.
And I think the cameras always ought to stay on the yellow Connaught number 8, David Wenman, having a very dramatic race. He's, there we are, well picked up straight onto the tail of number 17. That's the HWM of Ian Nuttall, and straight inside him at Lavin. He's got the speed, but he's been up and down the order. Seemingly has at least one incident. Another incident. Mark Hales has had a spin.
And that's out of the chicane.
What's he pointing at? Is there oil on the track there? I think he's suggesting there is.
Following car through smoothly, but likely to catch him.
Diffie's going to be 3rd by Magic at this rate. Diffie barrelling up the inside. It's going to be a battle now. He didn't quite make it. There wasn't quite room. But this extraordinary unconventional driving style.
They pop past the Smith Formula 2 car. I wonder if that bent nose is having effect on the radiator of the 250F. Certainly Hales lets Diffie past, not fighting it.
Having let Diffie pass, he's not really dropping off behind him. He's going to see what he can do. He's in the dip, but maybe he just felt that Diffie had more speed going on the start, up the start finish straight there, because of course Hales very slow out of the chicane after that moment.
Wenman is past Chris Phillips and now chasing Barry Wood in the Cooper Bristol.
It just looks at this stage like the only race we've seen all weekend is not going to have a close run finish.
Yeah.
I mean, couldn't get closer than that Formula 3 race this morning, 18 thousandths of a second. Here's Wenman up the outside of 23.
Which is Barry
Wood. Yep. Car that I think Lillian Sanderson drove for a Kyrgios.
He did.
Others. You're quite right, you almost forget about our race leader, Barry Baxter. He just comes out, he looks absolutely serene. He's just put a lap on number 27, that's the 250F of Dumoulin, Christian Dumoulin. But the driver with all the action, every time I look up at the screen, number 8, bright yellow Connaught. is David Wenman picking his way. He's gone past Barry Wood, and now his next target ought to be Alexander Boswell, but I think he's some distance up the track.
He may well hook a top 6 out of this if he works hard.
Well, he sniffed at the tail of it several times and then decided he didn't like it, and had various moments, but now he decides he does. So the gap between Barry Baxter and the race-leading pale green BRM, number 5, and Mark Valvekens in the number 2 Aston Martin is just under 22 seconds, but Valvekens sitting with a gap of about 18 seconds over Simon Diffie's 250F.
Wenman has got to 6th in that number 8 Connaught. Bear in mind he started in 17th place.
And a great battle between the two Cooper Bristols and Wood and Phillips for 7th place. Barry Wood currently in 7th.
But the speed of the race, the front cars in this race is such that Simon Diffie in 3rd place had that spin, and don't forget a long delay until he could bump start his own car out of St Mary's. And Mark Hales has had one moment, one clout on the opening lap that let the first few get away, and then that moment at St Mary's, and he's still in the battle for 3rd place.
Baxter's actually backed off in recent laps. He knows he doesn't have to worry. He's 24 seconds to the good, and the fewer laps he has to do, the better. Waiting for this, the 3rd and 4th place cars. It's Diffie and Hales running together in the 2 Maseratis.
Now,
half a second between them. Can Mark fight back? I think he rather fancies it.
He does.
So they drift through. Beautiful rear shot there, looking at the drifting 250S. Beautiful standing still, but to my eye, even better when they're sliding around.
Well, they both had spins.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, Bremner's Connaught's just gone past, and there's Boswell and Wenman running together. Wenman could yet get 5th out of this. And then the 2 Cooper Bristols, Barry Wood and Chris Phillips.
Well, those 250Fs fighting all the way to the finish. 2.5 minutes until the checkered flag will be flown. Will that be enough for Simon Diffie to stay where he is in 3rd place? But certainly Mark Hales seems to have found the speed. He had to let him go past on the start-finish straight after his moment. A big switch in the second part of Lavant there. That's not what Mark wanted. That would have cost him some vital acceleration as they go onto the Lavant straight. And Alexander Boswell's time in 5th could be very short indeed, because David Wenman in the number 8 yellow Connaught is right onto his tail as they go up to Lavant for the 11th time. Simon Diffie appears to have found a bit of... There they are now. Look, the yellow Connaught right onto the tail. The second part of Lavant could be his moment, but he's going for the outside run, so perhaps he feels he's got the speed. He'll wait for the kink and then he'll power past. He'll probably jink to the right-hand side of our screen. No, he's trying to go the long way around the outside through the kink, but Alexander Boswell holds on in the Ferrari and the Connaught. Perhaps he'll make his move going down into Woodcote.
Meanwhile, behind Barry Baxter in the pale green BRM number 5, which leads. 2nd, Mark Valvekens 24 seconds behind. Then Simon Diffie in 24 has pulled away to the tune of 1.7
There goes Wenman in front of Boswell. Just squeezes past.
And that's down at Woodcote. It's a great drive from David Wenman. He's been on the grass a couple of times, and lots of dramas.
Well, I think that battle for 3rd place has gone the way, with just under a minute till the checkered flag comes out, gone the way of number 24, Simon Diffie. Mark Hales, the bent front end on that car, certainly can't be helping. Yes, and he's dropping back and forth. Both lapping way faster than the driver you can see there. That's Barry Baxter leading the race in the BRM and goes on to the final lap of the race. He doesn't have to press on. He was sitting with a lead of about half a lap.
I wonder, Bruce, whether apart from the nose being tweaked, whether there's a little derangement of the steering of that car. The tracking may well be out on the Maserati, which would have made it very difficult to hang on to it when it went round. Mark Valvekens doing a great job in the BRM. He's had a good weekend.
In the Aston Martin?
In the Aston Martin, I do apologise. Hasn't had this car that long, a season or so. Prior to that race to Gordini. Also been out in Lotus Elites and things over the years.
Diffie now well clear of Mark Hales.
Yes, their pace has dropped right off, and certainly when Hales must have realised this is the final lap, there's nothing he can do, not worth pressing on too hard. But Barry Baxter, he's very close on qualifying time with Mark Valvekens, but they managed to make that break early on, and then Barry's just driven a fantastic race in that BRM. Shame he hasn't had anybody really to play with, but he just hasn't put a wheel wrong, whereas almost everyone else, with the exception of Valvekens behind him, has had some mishap, some point when they've run off the circuit. So the first two have just really broken clear, and for Valvekens, just a chance to get to know that Aston Martin very well in great conditions.
Boswell back ahead of Wenman in 5th and 6th. Yes, this Barry Baxter's had things pretty much all his own way in this race, but he's got a difficult moment here, and he thought better of going up the inside of the HW very wisely. Last time I saw Barry win a race in one of these Grand Prix cars was in the Tech-Mac Maserati at Portimao about 3 years ago. And that was a really, really hard-fought race. This one wasn't so much, but he'll be thrilled with that. And a super win for Barry Baxter, who, of course, let's remember, was the guy who got to Jochen Mass when he turned the Lancia Ferrari over at the Revival a few years ago.
Yeah,
pulled him out.
That's right.
Absolutely selfless driver, and also a great motorcycle aficionado as well. Second is going to be the Aston Martin, Mark Valvekens, number 2. Towards half a minute down, 28.7 seconds, and in 3rd place, after a race full of adventure, Simon Diffie. In fact, there were adventures all round down the order. The only man with a real sort of straight run home was our pole man, who ended up converting it to victory.
Now, is Boswell in front of Wenman?
He was last time round.
Yes, he was when he came past me. He was very close behind him the previous lap, and then got past before he came round in this lap.
Got Guy Plant, the Channel Islander, getting a bit squirrely in his Kiki Bristol, coming out of the chicane. Last time through, running up towards the flag, and here they are. They're so close together, these two, battling all the way. Boswell and Wenman gets quite sideways coming out of the chicane, hangs on to the Connaught, and has to cede the place, though. He wasn't quite able to retaliate over the last lap. Boswell in 5th in the Ferrari, and Wenman 6th in the yellow Connaught. But here's your winner. Give him that big hand, ladies and gentlemen. Barry Baxter, the Scottish-Canadian, in the BRM Type 25. There's only one of the original car still around.
That's the John Pearson car.
That's been modified. Had a big accident a few years ago, but some of the cars were converted then to rear-engine Type 48s, weren't they? The chassis, but
and then put back together again
by Hall and Hall.
And they started with that
Wheatcroft.
They started with that ridiculous cheese cutter single disc brake at the back, which never worked properly.
Odd idea, but nice to see the BRM in that pale green livery rather than the factory livery.
So well done, Barry. Great stuff. Untroubled.
So he's going to come into the presentation area.
Well, it's quiet-ish. Can I just repeat, Keith Jenkins, could you please make yourself known to any information point or steward? Keith Jenkins.
Barry Baxter wearing one of those splendid carbon fibre Arai helmets.
Yes.
Well favoured by Caterham people on track days. It costs about a fifth of a Caterham.
Yeah.
And down in Parc Fermé to greet our race victor, Barry Baxter, is Henry Hope Frost, lurking with his microphone.
Yeah, helmet and balaclava off for our winner, Barry. Probably the biggest win of the weekend.
Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know what happened to Diff and Mark. They were right behind me, but
they both had a spin actually.
Oh, did they?
Hales and Diffie, yeah.
Oh, okay, that was quite useful then for me.
I guess you'd have had a better race of it if Michael had started.
It's a shame. I was really disappointed, obviously, because we're friends, and it would have been nice to have had a closer time. And at some points, when you're on your own, you sort of get lazy, and I nearly lost it at the chicane there.
It looked easy out there. Car behaving okay?
Car's beautiful, and I just backed it off a little bit, revved it to 6, and just tried to just keep it steady. You know?
Well done, Barry. Barry Baxter, winner of the Hawthorn Trophy in the BRP BRM. Barry gets a garland, a cap and a kiss. Let's go and talk to Mark Valverkens, he's just being congratulated by the Diffmeister, Simon Diffie. We'll go back. We'll go over here, Martin. Mark, well done. Second place. Happy with that?
Very happy. So such a wonderful track, such a wonderful event. I don't speak very well English, but it's a very nice thing for Lord Marsh and all his team to organize that, and such a track, such a national, traditional track. Very nice.
And the car is glorious, the Aston Martin,
yeah,
as well.
The car is glorious. I'm only the driver.
Barry was a long way up the road. Was it a little bit lonely for you?
No, yes, it was a little bit lonely, but he was faster. He was simply faster. I couldn't catch him.
Well done, Mark.
Thank you.
And let me talk to the Diffmeister. Come hither. Now, you're a naughty boy, but then you made up for it.
Yes, there was a fellow who had spun out St Mary's, and I kind of came off the gas where you shouldn't, and the car went to a spin, it stalled, and I managed to push start it and get going, but I don't know where I was up the back somewhere, and got going. I think Mark Hales had a bit of a problem, had a bit of a dice with him and slipped by, and it looks like I'm in third, so fantastic. I can't thank Ollie Way and the boys who are just over here. They've set the car up first time out. Oh, it's just magic, just sublime. What a wonderful car.
It's a kind of pinch yourself moment, isn't it? Sliding a 250F around a sunny Goodwood.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it. And with these guys up front, do we know what happened to Nick Finberg in the Cooper Bristol? He was somewhere in the mix, but what a joy. I can't believe it. And for the owner, Neil Dyer, he trusted me with the car. He's probably had kittens as I spun off, but hopefully I've done the job for him. So
well done. Third place, Simon Diffie.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
There's a happy man.
Well, we're back live, and Simon Diffie, look at him, really happy. Let's just confirm the results then for that Hawthorn Trophy under the governorship of Mr. Robert Brooks. First at number 5, Barry Baxter, BRM Type 25. Second at number 2, Mark Valverkens, Aston Martin DBR4. Third, number 24, Simon Diffie, Maserati 250F. Fourth, number 26, Mark Hales, Maserati 250F. Fifth, number 44, Alexander Boswell, Ferrari 565A. And sixth, David Wedman in number 8, the Connaught A-Type. Seventh, another Connaught A-Type, number 10, that of Robert Bremner. Eighth was the best of the Cooper Bristols, number 23, Barry Wood. Just ahead of, in 9th place, 15, Chris Phillips in his Cooper Bristol. In 10th place, number 20, Franck Trouillard, the Frenchman, in his Lotus 16. 11th, number 3, Michael Milligan, Spike Milligan with the Connaught A-Type from the Laventon Boxgrove Motor Club. And then 12th place, 17, Ian Nuttall in his HWM. 13th was Christian Dumoulin in car 27, Maserati 250F. 14th, another 250F. 56 was Wolf-Dieter Baumann. In 15th place, 16, Guy Plant, the Channel Islander with his Cooper Bristol. In 16th, number 18, Joe Ricardo with his HWM Alta Tasman car. 17th, number 11, Helmut Gassmann, the German, with his Connaught. And another Continental visitor, number 9, Kurt Engelhorn, with his Connaught A-Type, was in 18th place.